It's Monday, and you know what that means. Jersey First TV proudly brings to you the latest edition of Real Talk. And yes, I am New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist, Top 50 Latino, as voted on by the Latino Spirit Online magazine, along with the United States Latino Affairs Initiative, certainly the weapon of mass disruption in Garden State media. Ladies and gentlemen, the traffic will tell you every single week. The people's choice and the people's voice. And without a doubt, I mean, you can look at how I'm dressed, how I look. Folks, it's the most handsome face that runs the place. It's me, Fernando Uribe. I'm wishing you all a happy Monday. Happy November to you all here. Tune in from wherever and however you may be doing so on Facebook Live via StreamYard. Of course, also on the Jersey First YouTube page, as well as all of our social media platforms. Speaking of which, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for always supporting us online. Make sure you like us on Facebook, of course, Real Talk with Fernando Uribe, along with Jersey First TV. Don't forget to click on the subscribe button on YouTube. And, of course, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and certainly wherever you get your podcast, whether it's Spotify or SoundCloud. Download Jersey First TV and get all of our content and take it with you wherever and whenever you're traveling during this election season. And, of course, as we're closing out 2023. Can't say enough, ladies and gentlemen, how proud I am to be a part of the dream team of Garden State Media. Yes, it's Jersey First TV. Brand new episodes of the Nader Narrative air every Thursday night, hosted by the incredible Elizabeth Nader, and as well as brand new episodes of Bridging the Gap with AJ Malillo and Stephen Rombolo. Folks, outstanding content as always from them. And certainly on Monday nights, whether at 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. Eastern time, you can check out the latest editions once again, our Real Talk with Fernando Uribe here again, ladies and gentlemen, as I said before, on Jersey First TV. I cannot say enough. And folks, it's one of those things that I'm just excited to be here with you. Once again, happy November. A jam-packed show for you tonight, a double main event, and a lot to discuss. Folks, as a reminder, I cannot say enough how grateful I am. A wonderful October, 25,000 plus views. All organic, ladies and gentlemen, nothing boosted on here, nothing paid for, all organic. It's due to all of you that tune in every single week. Family, friends, frenemies, enemies, and haters alike. You all tune in because you love to, and of course, because you can't help yourselves. More on that later in the outstanding traffic that I bring you every single week here on Jersey First TV. Folks, we'll have a lot to talk about, obviously, there, as well as thanking everybody as we close out the month of October. You'll be happy to learn that my efforts, along with my amazing co-hosts, Christina Kostovsky, Vladimir Carrero, Sandra Ramirez, and Courtney Gilroy, together, we were able to raise over $4,600 for the American Cancer Society during Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And without a doubt, folks, it's a cause I'm very, very, proud of, and certainly not just with all of them, but certainly all my outstanding guests, and of course, all the online donations we received during Breast Cancer Awareness. We'll talk a little bit more about that later as well. Proud of the totals for the month of October. Once again, folks, $4,625 to benefit the American Cancer Society. More on that later. Of course, folks, you definitely want to stick around for final thoughts. I have a lot to say about Matt Friedman, New Jersey's resident pothead, who always seems to have a lot to say online and sort of carries himself with this insufferable douchebag persona of moral superiority over everybody else. But I'll tell you the truth about your favorite pothead, Matt Friedman, later in the program. But first, folks, it's a double main event this evening. We are less than 24 hours away from, quite honestly, New Jersey is going to make a decision tomorrow in changing the legislature, in holding the Emperor, Phil Murphy, accountable, as well as his lapdog, Attorney General Matt Plotkin, and all the liberals and all the woke left in Trenton. Folks, you can make a difference tomorrow in turning the legislature as red as this jacket. And it starts with my first guest this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the distinguished state senator from the 3rd Legislative District. I know he's a big fan of the show, and I'm looking forward to seeing him win re-election tomorrow night. Ladies and gentlemen, he's Ed Durr. Join us here on Real Talk. Senator, how are you?
How are you doing there, Fernando? Having a good night?
I'm having a great night. And, Senator, I got to tell you that I don't like to sort of go out on a limb and sort of make some predictions on this show, but I have a really good feeling about tomorrow. I think there's some districts that are going to flip. in Republicans' favor, especially in Central and South Jersey. I know you're in a very hot race, but I got to tell you, your platform has been solid. You have a good voting record, and isn't it amazing how they're digging up? I mean, they're waking up grandmas like Loretta Weinberg to come out on ads online to try to take you out. Where, I mean, she doesn't even know what time of day it is, much less waking up from her nap. I mean, it's crazy, isn't it?
Well, it just says a lot about the whole thing. My opponent spent 20 years in the legislature, and yet his best line of offense, or I guess defense, is to attack me on history and make up lies and misstatements, and he doesn't have anything to show for it. He can't point to one success in his record. Hey, he can't even point to the Orsted project that he'd like to tout, given the fact that they had just recently pulled the plug on it and said, nope, we're out of here because it's not going to work. It's too costly. And they're out of New Jersey.
It's amazing to me, Senator, that, Democrats, again, are still very salty from 2 years ago. I mean, I would argue that in my adult life, at least in New Jersey political history, that, your win 2 years ago against then Senate President Steve Sweeney was probably still the biggest political upset in New Jersey electoral history. I'm not saying that to be sort of diminish the win, but I mean, it was an amazing testament to your efforts, to your campaign team, to how you hit the ground, knocking on doors, phone banking. You did everything that, is in the playbook, and you came off with a resounding win 2 years ago. It's funny that it seems like some Southern Democrats are still not over that.
Well, I just had a very good team around me 2 years ago, and we continued that process with how we assembled again. We fought hard in the primary. As you know, I was primary, and we continued that pace going right into this general election. And I'm very proud of the people I have working around me. I consider them family, not just coworkers and friends, but as a family, because I love every one of them. They've been very supportive and helpful. That they, seeing all the attacks and the smears, and they weren't, swayed by it at all.
I'm glad they weren't. I mean, and listen, your record's been solid, Senator. And one of the things that's really interesting to me, I mean, I look at the establishment media here, the liberal media in New Jersey, and they never waste a moment to take shots at you, whether it's taking things you've said out of context, whether, again, it's digging up, good old Grandma Weinberg over there to cut an ad against you. It just seems that, you represent, I think, a very different type of Republican elected official. I mean, listen, I'm up here in LD 33. It seems like another universe up here in North Jersey from where you're in LD 3. But I think consistently you've been working with Republicans. You've been working to get local Republicans elected. And you've also, I think, done a great job in the legislature, again, in only a 2-year span, working in the state Senate. What can you tell our viewers tonight, potentially voters going into tomorrow, about some of your biggest achievements during your short tenure in the state Senate?
Well, as I've said it 1,000 times, and I'll continue to say it, I think one of the greatest achievements that that I'm proud about, but I have no hand in it, is my office, my staff, with my chief of staff, Tina, with Myrhe and Courtney and Rhea. These ladies have worked tirelessly, helped the constituents, and helped thousands of them, and that I hold very dear, because it's very good to go out in public and have somebody come up to you and tell you how the office has helped them. I mean, just the other day, I was walking in West Deptford, and I knock on the door, and the person said, "Oh, your office, Myrhe, I talked to her and she did this." And it's something that really makes me feel good. But we've had success in bringing funds to the district. We've helped, in other areas of helping with safety issues there, where it was a low policing problem that was not being addressed, and we were able to reach out to the state police and have that addressed. And then we helped with getting a grant for Riverview Park down there in Pennsville. And we're right now in the process. We successfully, got the DOT to secure funding for repair, taking care of a couple roads right off of off of Route 77 that were very high traffic areas that had, multiple accidents. Just recently had another accident that needed an airlift out. So these are the things that, we continue to strive for. And I am working with individuals of bringing, transportation to Salem County around the college and to, Glasper, also working with Rowan to bring transportation for the students. And hopefully maybe a manufacturer comes along there. We're in discussion with them.
Folks, if you just joined us right now at 6:13 here on the East Coast, it's my privilege to have on during the first half of tonight's double main event here on Real Talk Real Jersey First TV, the distinguished state senator out of the 3rd Legislative District, Edward Durr, joining us here right now. And for everyone at home, Senator, again, I always like to sort of be informative as I possibly can. LD3 is one of the bigger districts in New Jersey. I mean, you look at the map here, we're talking about multiple municipalities that cover Cumberland, Gloucester, and Salem counties. I'm not going to list them all. I mean, it might take a while here, but just again, as a highlight, obviously Deerfield Township, Greenwich Township in Cumberland, Hopewell Township, Upper Deerfield, in Gloucester County, for example, Clayton, East Greenwich Township, Elk Township, Glassboro, as well as South Harrison Township. Going into Salem County, for example, Alloway Township, Carneys Point, Mannington Township, Olmans Township, Penns Grove, Pennsville Township, as well as Salem and Woodstown. So a lot of terrain there in LD3.
38 towns.
Yeah, it's one of the bigger, obviously, you look at geographically, one of the bigger districts in the state. What's it been like? Obviously, 1-2 years ago, you've been serving in the legislature, but like anything else, you have to keep running for re-election. You have to keep knocking on doors. You have to make sure you're providing good constituent services. During this re-election season, from the summer now, obviously going into less than 24 hours until polls close tomorrow, right? What's the experience been like going to food festivals, town halls, other Republican events? How exhausting has this been for you?
Well, it has been an adjustment, a change of lifestyle. I've had to, because a lot of people were surprised to find out I still drive a truck for a living. It's not. They say, what's it like driving a truck? And I was like, well, I still drive. I'm going to actually be getting up tomorrow morning at 2 a.m. to drive before I go vote. So I'll be driving in the morning. I drove today. And so the schedule has been a little grueling, but I tell you, I absolutely love the job. I would not have run for re-election if I didn't love it. And I hope to be successful tomorrow and continue serving the people. I totally enjoy this job.
Listen, I can tell, Senator. I mean, I've had the privilege of running into you at multiple events and interacting with you. And coincidentally, I remember in December of 2021, I think I was the first journalist to actually interview you upon your win in 2021. If I remember correctly, I think I was the first guy to talk to you live on any sort of podcast platform. And I'm really proud of that. And I think 2 years later, here we are, you as a state senator, obviously going for re-election. I think it's a tremendous achievement. And I got a good feeling about you tomorrow. I think you are one of the more interesting races, certainly, I think, as the liberal media in New Jersey has painted it. But I think you have a great record, and I'm confident that you'll come out on top tomorrow, Senator. Do you feel the same way?
Well, I wouldn't be running if I didn't believe I could win. So I believe I can win, but I'm sure if you speak to my opponent, he believes he can win. And it's going to come down to the voters to make that decision. One of us is going to be right, and one of us is going to be wrong. I'm praying that I'm the right.
Senator, one of my biggest concerns during this election cycle, and I know that certainly the NJGOP is not a fan of yours truly by any means, but I call it like it is. I mean, I go after everybody, both Republicans, Democrats, liberals, progressives, conservatives, centrists. I mean, I just want the best candidates out there, the best policies out for New Jersey. And it just seems like this is a cycle, Senator. You can pick up from the momentum from 2021. Your win obviously leads the pack, as well as I believe 8 new assembly members in the state assembly. I'll sort of use this football analogy here. It seems like the wind is to the back of Republicans. They see the goal line there. I just hope they don't fumble the ball or get stopped at the 1 yard line, where there's a lot of winnable races in South Jersey, LD4, for example, LD16, LD11, even up by me. I think LD34, 36, and 38 in nearby Bergen County are very winnable. I'm just concerned maybe the NJGOP has not done enough. Is that just maybe panic by me, or am I onto something?
Well, I mean, you can only do as much as you possibly can with the the means you have. It takes, sadly, it takes money to run campaigns. Yes, I was able to do something 2 years ago, but that's not the norm, so to speak. It was an outlier, and to run a good campaign, it's going to take funding, and clearly the Democrats always seem to have that extra funding. Yeah, I don't know why that is, but it just seems to be the case. But one thing they don't have that we do have is we're right on the issues. We are always right on the issues because we are for the people. We're there for themselves or special interest groups. As not too long ago, I'm sure you've seen the release that Senator Bucco had outlined exactly what we would, strive to accomplish should citizens be so kind to give us a majority this year. We have a game plan. Along with that, Senator Testa, my chairman of Cumberland County, had reached out and helped out with the setting a goal, what we want to achieve. So it's hopeful that, some of these races do come to fruition. It's going to be in the voters' hands, and I just pray that they come out and vote.
I'm with you. Again, I know that early voting is not going anywhere. Vote by mail is not going anywhere, but I'm hopeful that Republicans have seized the opportunities. I mean, Democrats have fine-tuned this incredibly, especially in a lot of districts where, they get that turnout, and I'm hoping that Republicans can match that. I mean, obviously there's a registration disadvantage in New Jersey, but that has shrunk in recent years because we've seen that in Trenton. Again, I don't want to paint anybody with a broad brush because, for example, up where I live in LD33, my state senator is actually like a centrist, working class Democrat. He's not this woke fool like some of his colleagues are in the legislature that failed high school biology, that failed, a basic economics course in college, and are subscribing to like climate hysteria and all this other nonsense senator that, again, the emperor, Matt Plakin, Senate President Scutari, Assembly Speaker Coughlin, and even a lot of these state senators like Zwicker and others that, again, it's just like they've been there forever. Nothing seems to get done. New Jersey continues to be unaffordable. We're having a budget that's getting fatter than some of these Victoria's Secret models are parading out there. It's unbelievable to me where, that's not being called into question more.
Well, and that's the important factor, along with majority of being able to set agendas would be, we'd have accountability, subpoena power. We could call people in on the carpet, so to speak. We could, go after things like you just recently with, speaking of Orsted, how Governor Murphy went and stated that not a dime of New Jersey taxpayer money was spent on this project. I would love to see an audit on this. I would love to see an investigation and see exactly if this is the case. He's not been very transparent with his administration, and this would allow us to have some transparency for the people. I would love to see this take place. Also, I still have been hammering, and I will continue to hammer, that there's been no transparency from the COVID year with the nursing home and the,
that's right,
veterans homes. So I would love to have an investigation with subpoena power by the Senate. We've asked for that. Senator Pinaccio's asked for that in vote session, and he's been tabled several times on this by the Democrats. The Democrats do not want to have no check and balance in the legislature. They just want to rubber stamp everything that Governor Murphy asked for, just like my opponent has been 100% along with Governor Murphy the 4 years that he spent with him in the legislature.
I'm with you. And I think that, listen, I mean, Governor Murphy lacking transparency. Hold on a second. Water, wet. I mean, breaking news, folks. I mean, here in New Jersey that the emperor doesn't want to be transparent, whether it's, being this champion for climate change, yet flying around in a private jet. And Senator, we all know that private jets emit the most CO2 into the atmosphere than anything. But let's not facts get in the way of the realities about, the emperor himself. But let's get back to LD3 here. Certainly, I feel very good about your chances tomorrow getting reelected. Once the legislature convenes in January, hopefully with some Republican gains in both the state Senate and the state assembly, what do you want to tackle in the next cycle?
Well, as I'm not sure if I said this the last time we had talk, but I have kind of shifted. Special needs has become one of my focuses in getting into the legislature. That's become one of my issues, and I want to see more of that because there are a lot of good programs in New Jersey for special needs, but unfortunately there's not easy access or knowledge of it, and I want to make that more known for the people because I spoke to different groups in different areas. I went up to Warren County and met with my friend, and he had a group there, and that was the resounding message from all of them was, yeah, it was only through word of mouth through other individuals who experienced it that they were able to find out about these things. It's not very accessible, and I think that's one of the things in New Jersey with a lot of our programs. A lot of people don't have knowledge of it. They don't have access to it. So I'd like to see more of that come to fruition. So there's certain agendas, I want to, address some of the environment issues that have been tackled. So I have a game plan as, we've outlined.
Absolutely. Listen, and I'm glad you want to tackle those things because there are so many special needs residents in New Jersey. I think that they're not getting the proper funding in Trenton for programs that are very vital to your point. I mean, yeah, listen, if it was about illegals and the alphabet mob and the pronoun patrol, Trenton finds money all the time for these programs, right? Isn't that funny? But for a population in New Jersey, such as special needs adults and children, you would think that Trenton would make that as accessible as possible. So bravo to you, Senator, for wanting to definitely get that out there. Let me ask you this, because you brought up COVID, and I've been one of those vocal critics of the governor and obviously the legislature, the far left enablers of the emperor that have not called them into account at all. We've seen the disastrous policies and what they did to veterans, to nursing homes. We still have not yet seen the long-lasting effects to our kids, Senator, in learning loss. I would love to see Republicans win the state Senate and get, as you mentioned, that subpoena power to call into question these horrendous policies where the governor killed small businesses, where he contributed, again, being enabled by the NJEA and the AFT to the learning loss of kids for over 2 years. I would really love to see some transparency in Trenton and holding the emperor accountable for the remainder of his term.
Well, absolutely. This is something that we want to strive for. If we are fortunate enough to get majority, we will have that accountability and the subpoena power, as you spoke of, and I would love to be on that committee that would question these things that have taken place. I would love to dive into, the COVID response and what took place. I would love to see, pulling people in and having them answer for these things, because the people of New Jersey deserve answers. The families of these victims deserve answers, which none of them have gotten answers, and they continue to ask every day for the answers. And, Governor Murphy has been very, he is rules for thee, not for me kind of guy.
That's
and
right.
It's always been that way.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this, because another issue that seems to be a hot button issue unnecessarily during this cycle, Senator, has been really about reproductive rights and abortion, where, again, all these insufferable feminist groups drive me crazy. It's been codified into state law. Grandma Loretta seems to be having, some panic attack about what this is doing to women. Here's a news flash. If you're a woman, biological woman, right? Because those are the only people that can have babies, okay? Adult human females, okay? You can terminate your pregnancy with relative ease in New Jersey. Tax dollars, are given to Planned Parenthood, folks. Okay, if you get knocked up tomorrow, or you had a bad escapade over the weekend, ladies, you can go to Walgreens and get a Plan B. So this idea, Senator, that abortion is, oh my God, it's on the verge of being eliminated, and reproductive rights, I have never seen a more dishonest take by far left Democrats in Trenton in quite some time, Senator.
It is, but see, again, this is all they can go to because they can't defend anything. They can't defend the governor's energy policies. They can't defend his business. They cannot defend his record for the entire term because our budget has continued to go up, and people are continuing to leave the state.
It's interesting to me though when I think.
Did I lose you?
No. I just want to make sure I gave you the full audience there. Now, Senator, let me ask you this, because it's interesting that we know what the far left Democrats do in Trenton. Again, like I said, I don't like to paint everybody with a broad brush. Like I said, up here in LD 33, my state senator works with everybody across party lines. He's a working class, centrist Democrat. The problem is that the leadership in Trenton, whether it's Senate President Scutari, whether it's Assembly Speaker Coughlin, whether it's Majority Leader Ruiz, these are far left Democrats that don't really care how harmful their policies are because someone may not be around in 5-10 years, just like the governor. And it's amazing to me how tone deaf they continue to be, especially about parental rights. I know this is a big issue going into tomorrow, also in Board of Ed races all across the state. What's been your feedback that you've received from residents you've talked to during this election cycle, especially about parental rights?
Well, that has been key. The parental rights issue has been forefront, and it continues to be. Every time I go to a door and there's a family and there's children there, that's the first thing out of their mouth is, what's going on with the governor? What am I going to have to do? Am I going to have to pull my kid out of the public school system because, they don't have a voice? And this is where I keep telling them, everybody, one, I've encouraged people to get involved and join, run for school board. But you have to remember, who's going to support those school board candidates that are running? Your Republican legislature. So you have to stay tied to the Republican legislature because we already know, based on the policy that Senator Gopal passed, it was all Democrat supported, not Republican.
It's amazing to me, again, that during this election cycle, we know what's going wrong in Trenton. It is, taxation up the wazoo. We've seen the gas tax still not be eliminated. The governor, only because it's election season, vetoed an increase in tolls. It's so transparent how blatantly dishonest he's been, along with, again, State Senate President Scutari, Assembly Speaker Coughlin, Majority Leader Ruiz. It just never ceases to amaze me, the pandering, even the anchor program. Like, who's buying that these are our tax dollars that we're basically getting back? Who's buying into this garbage that it's property tax relief? It's an outright lie.
Well, first off, it's tax dollars you're getting back from years ago. It's not this year's money. It's money they held in the bank and collected interest, but you're not getting that interest. You're getting actually 18 or 20% less than what you had given them. So they still are charging you for holding your money. So you're not getting your full rebate that the way they are playing it out to be. And for that Stay in New Jersey program, again, that does not take place until 2026. So this is all smoke and mirror stuff that the Democrats like to play, and again, they don't have the policies. So their only recourse is to malign and attack their opponents, say how evil they are, say they're the devil, say they're going to push grandma off the cliff. Them old commercials, had the Republicans pushing grandma off the cliff that they're going to take their Social Security away. It's just constant lies by the Democrats because they can't defend what they've been doing. You have 7 out of 10 people leaving the state. You have businesses, 2 out of 3 business, or 1/3 of the small businesses have closed up. These things are affected. And then Governor Murphy goes and gives away money to foreign corporations instead of worrying about, taking care of the people at home.
Senator, we're just about to wrap up here. I know you want to get back to work here. Obviously, we're less than 24 hours away. Very briefly, you have a great record to stand on. Maybe some independents, maybe some undecideds are watching tonight. What do you want to tell them about you and your ticket and why you are the better choice coming up on election day tomorrow?
Well, I think my legislative aide, Myrhe, said it best. We want to move forward. It's not time to go backwards. So let's just keep going. You already made a statement 2 years ago by firing John. Don't go backwards and take him back. So I'm going to ask the people to continue to trust me that, if they have a question, if they have a concern, they can reach out. I've been very accessible. I have not avoided or hidden from anybody. I make sure I'm around in the district. I reach out to people and I give them my phone number. They can call me. They can reach my office. So I'm just hoping that we've done the work that has earned us the right to come back to Trenton, because I want to continue what I've been doing.
Senator, again, you pulled up one of the biggest, if not the biggest history, obviously upset in political history here in New Jersey. And I'm looking forward to seeing you get reelected tomorrow. You've got a great record. Again, for everybody watching at home, forget about what the establishment liberal media is telling you in New Jersey. Forget about what Grandma Loretta is telling you, after she woke up from her nap. Folks, Ed Durr, working class Republican, working class elected official, him and his ticket have done great things in LD3. Make sure you send him back to Trenton starting in January of 2024. Senator, I look forward to seeing you at the League of Municipalities. I'm sure that we'll run into each other. Let's grab a drink and celebrate. How's that sound?
Sounds good. Hey, look, if people want to check me out, they can go to my website, and it's all right there. Yeah, they can go to edthetrucker.com, and they can find out more about me. I'm a husband, father, grandfather, and a truck driver, and I just want to serve the people.
You do a lot of things, Senator. I got to tell you, man, you're a man of all trades. But once again, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck tomorrow. I look forward to, when David Wildstein, really the only reliable journalist that's really breaking news in the state, is producing all the exit polls and all the data. I look forward to seeing you with that check mark tomorrow night getting reelected, and you and your ticket as well in LD3. So best of luck to you. Thank you for being a fan of the show, and thank you for supporting Jersey First TV, Senator.
Thank you again, and you have a great night. And just remember, everybody, the only vote that don't count is the one not cast.
That's right. Sure that's right. He said it, folks. He is State Senator Edward Durr out of LD3. The first half of tonight's double main event here on Real Talk via Jersey First TV. God bless you, Senator. We'll talk to you again soon.
Take care.
Folks, great segment there with State Senator Edward Durr. Again, some technical difficulties there. And certainly, folks, if you're just joining us live, it's 6:36 here on the East Coast. Don't go anywhere. Second half of tonight's double main event is coming up in moments. A lot to talk about also. You want to stick around for final thoughts, ladies and gentlemen? I have a lot to say about Matt Friedman, New Jersey's resident pothead in New Jersey journalism. So you definitely want to stick around for that one. You don't want to miss out on that commentary. And now, folks, tonight's second half of the evening's main event, he is a state assembly candidate in the 9th legislative district. And it's, folks, it's election season, less than 24 hours to go. You got choices. Let's make the legislature as red as my jacket. And he's one of the guys looking to do that as well. In LD9, folks, he's my guest. Assembly candidate, Greg Myrhe, joins us here on Real Talk. Greg, how are you?
Very good. How you doing, Fernando? Thank you so much for having me on your program.
No, it's good to have you on here, sir. And again, I appreciate it. Again, if you're not familiar, ladies and gentlemen, with the 9th legislative district, it is one of the districts really in South Jersey, covering multiple municipalities in Ocean County. They include Barnegat Township, Barnegat Lightborough, Beach Haven, as well as Borough as well. Harvey Cedars, Little Egg Harbor, Long Beach Township, Ocean Gate Township, Surf City Borough, Ship Bottom Borough, Tuckerton Township, Ocean Township, as well as Long Beach Township as well. I gotta tell you, Greg, it is it's tough, this election cycle right now in New Jersey. How you feeling going into tomorrow night?
It absolutely is. And I'll tell you what, I feel great going into tomorrow night. And you mentioned a lot of those towns in our district. There are actually 19 towns in the 9th Legislative District. And we are in Southern Ocean County, which, as you know, is we're a very conservative area, and our voters show up at the polls, and they're definitely going to be showing up this year. So I'm very excited, very pumped. In fact, at 7 o'clock tonight, I've got our Stafford Conservative Republican Club meeting, and I'm going to be with Senate candidate Carmen Amato, Assemblyman Brian Rolfe, as well as, I believe, Commissioner candidate Frank Sadeghi, and County Surrogate Jeff Moran. So we are all we're real excited. It's a final get out the vote push this Monday night before Election Tuesday. But I am very concerned about I'm concerned and hopeful about the state of the race going into for the rest of the state, the other 39 districts that are out there, because this is a redistricting year. As I'm sure, I think you may have mentioned that with Senator Durr before. And we've got a real chance to actually retake the majority in one or both houses. So I'm very hopeful. I've seen some great new candidates out there. Senator Durr before, he's been really just climbed the mountain and took it over 2 years ago. So he's a great voice out there for great Republican candidates. And I am really, really excited about tomorrow.
As am I. I mean, I would love to see the legislature flip as red as my jacket. Again, it's one of those things that whether it takes tomorrow or also in 2025, a process, that's what I'm wanting. I mean, we saw some gains in 2021. Case in point, obviously, the earlier guest, Ed Durr, still one of the biggest, if not the biggest upset in political history in New Jersey politics. Unseating what many thought was like an unbeatable Steve Sweeney, the Senate president. He did a great job there, and as well as 8 new Republican Assembly men and women going to Trenton. I think there's a good chance tomorrow, though, Greg, that could sort of repeat itself. Obviously, we have winnable districts that can flip LD4, LD11, LD16, up in Bergen County nearby, LD34, 36, and 38. We'll see. I'm concerned, though, and again, I said this to the senator earlier. One of the things that, listen, I talk about everybody, okay? I don't work for anybody. I'm not looking for a job in electoral politics. I'm looking to be an operative, okay? I'm doing very, very well in education and also in journalism. But what bothers me, and I know that the NJGOP is not a fan of Fernando Uribe, mostly because I kind of call it like it is, but I'm just concerned, though, Greg, because tomorrow, to use a sort of an NFL analogy, the wind's to their back. And the goal line is right there. It almost seems like, damn, they could fumble the ball or get stopped at the 1 because, listen, there's still some disadvantages here. I mean, while it's been shaved down, Democrats still have a registration advantage, even though it's gone down. It was like 1 million something. It's gone around to about 900,000. It's shrunk a little bit. We know what Trenton does poorly. We know what the far left Democrats are atrocious at: taxes, spending. As I said before, there isn't a tax that Governor Murphy, the emperor, doesn't love. There isn't a tax that the Senate President Scutari doesn't embrace, or Assembly Speaker Coughlin. We're seeing this budget get fatter than some of these Victoria's Secret models that they're putting out there. Model operate these days. It's awful. We're seeing, the gas tax is still there. It's only because it's election season that the governor vetoed the toll hikes. Otherwise, the governor would gladly love to see toll hikes taking place in New Jersey. So we know what Democrats do wrong. What are you and your ticket telling voters potentially during the summer and during the fall now, knocking on doors, phone banking, sending out mailers? What's been your message?
Well, our message is basically been essentially restoring the rights of the people. I'm a constitutional conservative, as are my 2 running mates. And big issue this year, I'm sure you've talked about, is parental rights. And that essentially means that when you send your kids to school, they are your kids. These are not the property of the school district. They're not the property of the government. They are the property of their parents. So parents need to know what's going on in these schools, and you hear strange issues you never even would have heard even a few years ago. If you're confused about your gender, you don't have to tell your parents about it. We're not going to. To me, that's a very, very serious issue, and I would certainly want to know about my own kids. And I would think any parent throughout all of recorded history would, including up to this very moment and in the future, wants to know about that too. So when there's, I don't expect teachers to tell every little thing, but that's not a little thing. That's a big thing. That's just one. Another one that's really been a huge issue, a coastal issue, has to do with these windmills, the wind turbines off the shore. And that is, it's a coastal issue immediately, but it really affects all of us. You saw what they did this summer with the $1 billion that was essentially a giveaway to Ørsted. And that was supposed to go back to New Jersey ratepayers, but it didn't. So they said, hey, we're going to give it to you, giant foreign company. And the giant foreign company just told us last week, you know what, that $1 billion is not enough. So they're going out with their tin cup, and actually they're not even going out with their tin cup in hand right now. They're saying, we didn't get enough money, we're pulling out. But that doesn't mean there aren't other players in there. So that fight continues. And that is a much larger fight. It's tied into so many other issues, such as the electrification of vehicles, which may or may not be a good or a bad thing. I'm not really going to take a position on that. But when you're telling manufacturers that, no, you can't sell your gas-powered vehicles here by this arbitrary date of 2035 because we want your vehicles to be powered by someone else. Oh, and by the way, our state fleet is nowhere near fully electrified yet. There's nothing. It's still very much a technology in its infancy. And again, it's not something that I'm opposed to, but it should be able to stand on its own merits. It should pass the market test first. So in the marketplace of ideas, and it should be profitable for the automakers, or else they're all going to go out of business. So that is the type of thing, one of many things that we're up against, but those are some of the issues of today. But it follows a larger theme of essentially where the government, the Democrats feel that the government has the answers as long as they are the government.
Yeah,
so
you said it perfectly. And folks, if you're just joining us right now, it's 6:44 here on the East Coast. My guest this evening, Assembly candidate. I'm gonna make sure I said it correctly. Greg Myrhe join us here.
That's right.
All right, good stuff. See, Professor Uribe gets it right once again. I mean, it's sort of like a habit here on the show. But Greg, let me ask you this, because you brought up something about wildlife, and I'm someone who donates to the WWF, Nature Conservancy, the Sierra Club, Defenders of Wildlife, and as a member of of those organizations, I spent a better part of the fall emailing them, and I'm like, hey, listen, you guys never miss an opportunity to endorse Democrats, whether it's at the federal level or state level. Where are all the endorsements for all these Democrats in Trenton when we've seen whales and dolphins washing up dead on our shores? It's astounding to me that these organizations love to virtue signal and say, well, Republicans and conservatives are evil because guess what? They don't believe in protecting wildlife. Well, guess what? Certain Democrats in Trenton, they don't believe in protecting wildlife either, unless I'm imagining whales showing up dead on our shores and dolphins, unless it's like, did Thanos snap his fingers and all of a sudden they mysteriously disappear with the Infinity Stones? I mean, what's going on?
Yeah, sadly, that is not your imagination. That's very real. And occasionally, when I say occasionally, maybe every few years, a whale might wash up on the beach. As we saw within the past year, there have been at least 10 between New York and New Jersey, which, as you know, is really, as far as the East Coast goes, it's a very short stretch of coastline. So that was all happening, and that really, unfortunately, was the mammoth canary in the coal mine on the impact that this sonar testing could have on marine life. The Democrats, and even some of those groups you mentioned, will tell us that this is unproven, you don't know. Well, some of that's unproven because they're not actually looking for it. So you can't find the answers if you don't look in the first place. We talk about the whales. They talk about the inner ear tissue that gets degraded very quickly. So in some cases, it's almost impossible to test what's happening. They'll tell you, well, these whales have died from ship strikes. Well, whales have been coexisting with ships for centuries. And if you talk about the larger ships that we have today, these steel-hulled vessels, at least for many, many decades, and that has not been a huge, obviously it happens sometimes, which is unfortunate, but not in the kind of numbers that we've seen on such a tiny part of our ocean, which is right off the Jersey coast, where they happen to be testing for these windmills. So any other type of environmental thing where there's an issue, it tends to halt the project or certainly delay it. There was just a gas pipeline they were going to put through the Pinelands, through the Pine Barrens, going right down through part of my township, actually. I don't think the pipeline was going to be there, but the New Jersey Pipelines that comprises 57 municipalities within the state of New Jersey, and it's actually the largest contiguous forest on the whole East Coast. So we're very sensitive here at Stafford Township to environmental issues, both right. This is actually where the pines meet the sea. So to say that Republicans don't care for the environment is just a fallacy, straight up. It's a huge part of not just our way of life out here, but also of our economy. I'm friends with many fishermen. They obviously want to see a productive, renewable fishery out there. And of course, the people that come to the Jersey Shore, a lot of those are people from North Jersey and all over the place. And that just, they love it down here. So I can't speak to why those groups are not endorsing some of us Republicans who do go out for the animals, for the environment. But I hope that that mindset can change.
I hope so too. And again, folks, you have options tomorrow. And obviously, if you participate in early voting or vote by mail, obviously you have options, and you have a good one right here. My guest here in LD9, State Assembly candidate Greg Myrhe, our guest right now here on Real Talk via Jersey First TV. Greg, should you be successful coming up tomorrow? And I have no doubt you will be. I look forward to hopefully whether I see you at the League of Municipalities in Atlantic City, we can celebrate with a drink, or obviously making my way to Trenton in January when you take the oath of office. What would you like to tackle in LD9 in the State Assembly that isn't presently being addressed, and maybe you want to sink your teeth into once you take office in January?
Well, that's a bit of a loaded question right there. Some of those things have to do with whether or not we do retake the majority. And obviously, this is something you cannot do alone. So I know a lot of people have the idea that they want to go into politics and they're just going to shake everything up. And if you're a guy like Donald Trump, sometimes you can do that. As an executive, as a legislator, you certainly have to work with people. And that means working with my fellow legislators. So I want to make sure that the concerns, some of those I just mentioned, such as the wind turbines, are addressed. I want to make sure that this state is livable for our seniors, for our retirees, but most importantly for the working people of the state of New Jersey. You've got record high interest rates, you've got record high home prices, and that just makes it very unaffordable for young people. And that is a nationwide phenomenon, but it really hits people hardest here in our state, which is certainly for our lifetimes has never been a cheap place to live, to say the least. So it's only got much more expensive, and I want to make sure that we're doing the best that we can for the working families of this state and for LD9.
You know, Greg, there was a time, obviously, I live up here in Hudson County. There was a time when people said, man, you know, I'm looking at Manhattan every day, and it's just getting way too expensive to live here. I'm going to move south. That's not the case anymore. Even moving to Central and South Jersey is becoming just as equally expensive, if not more, than its northern counterparts. I mean, it's really, really egregious, I think, what's happened in more than, let's say, a decade, you know, whether it's overdevelopment in various parts of the state. What are you seeing in LD9 president? I know you're the mayor of Stafford, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Stafford Township, also known as Manahawkin, New Jersey, the gateway to Long Beach Island.
That's right. Great summer destination. Actually, great destination all year round, not just in summer.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, we're seeing a lot more people, a whole lot more people coming down from your part of the state, from Hudson County, and from some parts even a little closer, what you may call south, but we still call north, because they've seen that it is such a great place to live. In fact, back in 2020, Stafford Township had the most single and dual family home building permits in the entire state of New Jersey. And a lot of that was due to one pretty large development over by the Stafford Park area, but there are just a whole lot of wherever there were vacant lots, they're building homes here because people do want to be here. And what the houses are going for right now is just truly incredible. Locals, you know, especially some of the old timers, never seen anything like it before. And you couple that with these stratospheric interest rates that we're talking about, and just all these other things, even like that rebate that the ratepayers were supposed to get, that instead went off to Orsted, just things like that. Every little bit that the government can grab, that's what they're trying to do. And we're not really seeing the relief. You have seen, the anchor program. Again, it's something, but it doesn't really hit the core issues. I know.
But Greg, I mean, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'll let you finish. But I mean, what I find insulting about the anchor program is that those are our tax dollars just pretty much being fed back to us. And it seems like the emperor and Senate President Scutari and Assembly Speaker Coughlin are trying to make it seem like, well, we're really concerned with providing property tax relief. It's our money, you halfwits. Like,
absolutely,
you're lying to us by saying, well, it's not like you're auditing wasteful spending in Trenton. Ooh, and now we have a surplus. No, that's not the case. I find it funny that they're blatantly lying to people. And of course, as I mentioned before, the establishment liberal media in New Jersey, just, it's like seals at the circus. It's like, or like throw me a fish. And that's what they sound like, not holding these people accountable. It's infuriating, Greg.
I agree. And that the anchor program, it kind of ties into the whole New Jersey income tax to begin with. Back in the 70s, they talked about it as a way to address the property tax crisis that was happening then over 40 years ago. And I think we've only gone backwards on that issue, as you can see. And those taxes go up. And there's just some real systemic issues there that it's going to take a lot of work. And there's going to have to be at least some level of agreement among a majority of the legislature, whatever that is composed of. I hope to see a Republican legislature at the end of tomorrow night when voting is over, when all those votes are counted. So, and just before we go, when you talk about that, the budget too, they talk about this $8 billion surplus, but at the rate of spending, this budget has grown during the Myrhe era tremendously. So at the continued rate of spending and the increase in the budget, that surplus will be gone before you know it. And they're going to be talking about another tax increase. So that's a huge part that I'm going to be fighting for. Let's keep this state affordable. Let's keep this fair for the people. Let's make sure that we are the land of liberty. It's right in our state motto, liberty and prosperity.
Greg, to your point about the surplus to my understanding, again, I'm not an economist, even though I play one on TV sometimes. The surplus is based on cutting spending and finding ways to save money. That surplus is a product of getting COVID money from the federal government and really like kicking the can down the road. It's not like the governor and the Secretary of the Treasury and the leadership of the legislature said, "Oh, let's cut wasteful spending. Let's see where we can make some cuts and save some money." That's not the case. That's not a surplus. Again, their idea of the surplus is not real world economics. And I think that, again, this is where Republicans can nail a lot of these career politicians in Trenton, these incumbent Democrats in Central and South Jersey that think that it's almost that they're owed that seat for the rest of their lives. And that's not the case, Greg.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I mean, I guess you could say it's a surplus in name only because it did not get there through responsible budgeting, through responsible spending. It did have a lot to do with those COVID dollars that came from the federal government, which the last time I checked were over $30 trillion in debt. So that's not sustainable either. So these are just, it is sad to think about it, but we need to get our fiscal house in order here in the state. There's no question.
Greg, before I let you go, I know you have about 30 seconds, but why are you the better choice? Why is your ticket the better choice tomorrow on Election Day in LD9?
Yes, I'm the better choice. I've done a great job here running Stafford Township. We actually have increased that budget surplus here in our township, almost doubled in the 5 years that I've been here. We've taken our bond rating up. We've got a bond rating upgrade, the first ever in township history. We've also done all of that without cutting any services to the residents. We've expanded our police force by about 20%. We've actually taken advantage of a number of federal programs. We've brought some grant money to Stafford Township, to our community. We're delivering a brand new Stafford library, a Stafford branch of the Ocean County Library, working in partnership with Ocean County and with the state of New Jersey. So I've got the experience working with multiple government entities, working with people at all levels to bring better results to our residents. I've got two great running mates, Brian Rumpf, 20 years in the Assembly, Carmen Amato, another great mayor to North and Berkeley, running for the state Senate. And we have the winning team with the experience to deliver results.
Greg, go get them tomorrow. I wish you the best of luck. Folks, LD9 will be better hands with Greg Myrhe. He's your choice tomorrow in the State Assembly. He's our guest tonight during this evening's second half of the double main event. Greg, go get him. And I'll see you at the league, and we'll have a drink and celebrate, brother.
I will see you at the league.
All right. Best of luck, folks. He's Greg Myrhe, Stafford Mayor, and also State Assembly candidate in LD9. Join us here on Real Time. Best of luck, brother.
Thank you, Fernando.
Folks, great episode tonight here with two outstanding candidates, one an incumbent, State Senator Edward Durr in LD3, and certainly State Assembly candidate Greg Myrhe in LD9. Folks, you have choices. And again, Democrats are vulnerable in LD4, LD11, LD16, 34, 36, 38. Folks, let's flip those districts. Let's make New Jersey as red as this wonderful jacket here. that I'm wearing, and of course the Jersey First TV and the Real Talk colors, of course, here on the program. Get out early, go vote tomorrow. If you voted by mail already, good. If you voted early, great. Republicans, conservatives, independents, get out there tomorrow. Send the Emperor, Governor Murphy, State Senate President Scutari, Assembly Speaker Coughlin, Majority Leader Ruiz, and all these far left woke Democrats that are destroying New Jersey. That's what they're doing. Okay? That's what they're all doing. They're destroying New Jersey. Send them a message tomorrow and change the landscape of the legislature in Trenton coming up tomorrow night on Election Day. Folks, we got a lot to talk about here still, about right 7 o'clock here on the East Coast. And certainly it's time for final thoughts. And folks, one of the things I like to remind our viewers every single week, again, all organic traffic, more on that later. But one of the things that really upsets me as an honest journalist here on this program is the amount, and let's be very fair, folks, the amount of clowns in New Jersey media who find all the time in the world to virtue signal, to enable woke policies in Trenton, right? Whether it's coddling illegals, whether it's coddling the pronoun patrol or the alphabet mob, we all know who it is, right? The LGBTQ plus, minus, 1, 2. I mean, I can't even keep up with the acronym. That's how silly it's become already, right? Whether it's sort of enabling these populations, but not really calling out bad policies in Trenton, right? Maybe sticking up for parents, right? Maybe raising awareness about parental rights and how important that is, not just on Election Day tomorrow for all 120 legislative seats, but for the dozens upon dozens of Board of Ed races all across the state of New Jersey. Okay? And one of the guys, and what's interesting during this election cycle, and let me tell you, speaking again about parental rights, let me tell you about a friend of mine and a fan of the show. His name is Josh Akins. Now, if you remember, I interviewed Josh earlier this year, right before the primary, as he was running the state assembly up in Morris County, one of those districts, right? And one of the things that I always found to be refreshing about Josh was how genuine he was and how much he cares, not just about his kids, who he loves dearly, you can tell, but how he feels about parental rights, right? And the ability to go out there and raise awareness about it, not just through his organization, Arise NJ, but to be a candidate potentially for the state assembly and raise awareness about this, because folks, during this election cycle, it's not about pronouns. It's not about coddling the alphabet mob. It's not about coddling illegals or anything else, or all the far left nonsense that's perpetuated in Trenton. Okay? It's not about that. It's about making yourself a voice for parents. And Josh Akins has done that. And there's nothing vitriolic or any vitriol whatsoever, right, about someone like Josh Akins or activists like my good friend Alexandra Bauer, the chair of the Bergen County chapter of Moms for Liberty, or the director of the New Jersey Project, Nicole Stouffer, okay? Or parents everywhere in New Jersey, right, that are making noise at Board of Ed meetings, during rallies, during Get Out the Vote. These are good people, folks, right? These are good men and women that care about your kids. They care about parents having a voice in their school districts. Because here's a newsflash. Property taxes, right, from your homes, from buildings, right? That's what pays the budgets for school districts. Okay? There'll be a civics lesson for some of you out there who maybe aren't aware, or maybe slept through civics courses, or slept through American government, or slept through U.S. history. Okay? So if anyone's going to have a right to voice their concerns and call out woke policies by far left trustees of boards of education throughout the state, it's parents. It's these organizations. So for someone like Josh Akins, I applaud you for put your neck out there, as they say. for going out there and enduring all the scorn and vitriol levied against you. And when I think about people minimizing parental rights, and when I think about people that vilify patriots like Josh Aikens or Alexandra Bauer or Nicole Stauffer, okay, or other organizations like Victoria Surgent, right, the state chair for Gays Against Groomers in New Jersey, right? You know what I think about? And again, when I think about clowns in liberal media here in New Jersey, you know who's one of the first people that comes to mind? Yes, folks. It's the resident pothead in New Jersey, Maddie Friedman. Okay. And what's interesting about Maddie is, again, I don't follow him on Twitter. I have no desire to. But I get enough screenshots sent to me about just the insufferable douchebag behavior that this clown exhibits quite often. Okay. You know, Maddie, you don't like to go after far left people because, again, I get it, you're far left as well, right? But going after Josh Aikens is just a bad look, okay? I mean, we all know that you exemplify what a bad look is. I mean, folks, case in point, take a look at this photo that was sent to me, right? As he appeared, apparently in some course that Mike Solomon is teaching at one of our fine colleges here and universities in New Jersey, right? But this is symptomatic about Matt Friedman, the resident pothead in New Jersey journalism, okay, who loves to browse the Twitter feed and go after whether it's, I don't know, good men like Josh Aikens, state senators like Anthony Bucco, Michael Testa, or others, right? Matt Rooney, fellow broadcast journalist like myself, right? Or taking shots at people in this sort of passive-aggressive manner. That's probably why he smokes so much weed. He's probably one of these guys that, I don't know, got picked on a lot when he was a kid. You could tell he was never in a fight ever in his life, in his sort of during adolescence or adulthood. You could tell totally, right? But what's even more embarrassing, and what's interesting is for Matt to sort of conduct himself with this sort of level of moral superiority, right? To be fair, okay? This is a guy who, I mean, can you ever look presentable on TV, Maddie? Right? I've seen you on like just an enormous amount of programs, whether it's David Cruz's Reporters Roundtable. I mean, just look at him. Can you ever, I mean, it's funny about the importance of looking presentable when you're on television of any kind. Would it kill you, Maddie, to comb your hair? Maddie, would it kill you that it looks like you just woke up out of bed at 11 in the morning? I mean, I get it. Listen, I wish I had a boss as understanding as Dustin Rassiopi, the editor-in-chief at Politico, who lets you just stay up in your cabin all day, work maybe one day a week, smoke weed all day, right? Case in point, folks, anybody remember when Senator Bob Menendez had a press conference / public statement at Hudson County Community College's northern campus a couple months ago? All right. You would think that the editor of Politico could send one of his reporters to that. No, too much work to ask of Matt Friedman, who's up in his cabin, up in, upstate New York, right? Barely ventures out of his house. Maybe, I'm sorry, to go to maybe a hotel room in Newark during budget season to get high and drunk and not really do any work, right? I mean, you know what? I think we should all dream to have a boss like Dustin Rassiopi, right? Who's paying Matt Friedman an enormous amount of money to sit on his ass all day in a cabin, smoke weed all day. Let's be honest. Getting up late mornings. Again, what a dream job. I wish we all had those jobs, right? Waking up, right? And let's be fair, folks. The only pussy in the house that really can stand to be by him is the 10 cats he has, right? God knows his wife doesn't. I mean, listen, I would own a bookstore too and be out of the house as much as possible. But folks, these are the people going after good, strong, family-oriented conservatives in New Jersey, right? A guy like Matt Friedman, again, who couldn't look presentable to save his life. And for someone like me who's a broadcast journalist, and I get it, folks, it's, you got to look the part, you got to dress the part, you got to wear nice suits, comb your hair, get a haircut, groom, right? Like, it's about looking presentable, okay? Not looking like you just stepped out of a meth lab scoring a fix, Matt. There's a difference with looking presentable, but then sort of browsing Twitter and going after people, taking pot shots at them. You're really good at it, though. It's about time we start taking pot shots at you. You know what I'm saying? But during this election cycle, folks, when real issues are on the line, like parental rights, right? Like tax relief, not pronouns, none of that nonsense. Okay, that Matt Freeman would want you to acquiesce to. You know, coddling the pronoun patrol, the alphabet mob, coddling the illegals. You know, giving really a platform to dishonest journalists like Alan Steinberg, Charles Stile, and other journalists, really propagandists in New Jersey, who find their way onto the New Jersey playbook on Politico. Okay? Shame on you, Matt. And again, I know you don't care. I mean, you know, you're happy smoking weed all day up in your cabin, right? And I get it, you might say, well, Fernando, you really shouldn't go after Matt. You know, why don't you go after your friend David Wallstein? He doesn't live in New Jersey and he's running a news site. Yeah, folks, the difference is that David Wallstein, while not living in New Jersey, is able to employ people to work in New Jersey, to employ reporters that will go to Trenton, right? And report on what's going on at the State House. Not just like once a year going to Newark and passing out from smoking weed and drinking all evening, right? Well, reporters at Politico are trying to figure out what to do in reporting what's going on with the budget. There's a difference, folks. There's a massive difference. So shout out, listen, cheers to Dustin Rassiopi. I mean, man, bro, we should all yearn to have a boss like you who's as understanding and patient as you are to keep someone like Matt Freeman employed. Right? Matt, would it kill you to look presentable on TV, bro? Like, comb your hair for God's sakes. Like, I'm considerably older than you, but my God, bro, I look infinitely better than you. And it's like, wow, like, how'd that happen? You know, oh, that's right. You know what? When you smoke that much weed, sooner or later, you're going to look pretty raggedy. And you can see that there with Matt Freeman. And of course, not just the raggedy presentation and appearance, it's the raggedy behavior, going after people he, quite frankly, he shouldn't be going after. Look in the mirror, man. I know that's difficult. I wouldn't want to look in the mirror if I look like you either. But look in the mirror, bro. Have some awareness. And stop being tone deaf. You go after people pretty easily. You should look in the mirror too. It wouldn't kill you once in a while. Folks, before we call it a night here on the show, I want to thank once again all of my guests for coming out last week to a professor's quest to save breasts at Lolita's in North Bergen. Again, wrapping up the month of October with a wonderful total of $4,625 to benefit the American Cancer Society. Once again, I want to thank Christina Kostovsky, Vladimir Carrero, Sandra Ramirez, Courtney Gilroy, for being amazing co-hosts with me at the event, for all of our guests, that over 150 guests that packed their way into Lolita's in North Bergen along River Road, to all the online donations that have come in the last few days. Folks, this is an amount I'm really proud of. And I owe it to all of you, family, friends who attended, who continue to support my philanthropy, my award-winning brand of philanthropy, folks. And again, it wouldn't be possible without all of my aforementioned hosts, and of course, all of my aforementioned guests, and all of you who support me every October during Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Folks, before we call it a night, you know, I was thinking about maybe taking the high road, but why do that? It's not really fun, right? But it's important to remind you all that once again, ladies and gentlemen, for the month of October, Real Talk with Fernando Uribe continues to produce exceptional traffic, all organic, by the way, over 25,000 views on Facebook and YouTube collectively for all the episodes of Real Talk with Fernando Uribe via Jersey First TV. And again, folks, you know, I'm not the most humble guy around, okay? But I have to say I'm humbled by your support, okay? This number behind me would not be possible without all of you that take the time to watch the show live on Mondays, that take the time to share the replays, to share it on all of your social media platforms, right? To go out there and really promote it, whether you're out at events, showing your support in all fashions, again, on all the social media platforms that this show encompasses. Folks, without all of you, this success that Real Talk has enjoyed in 2023 would not be possible. And as we're closing out year 2 here on Jersey First TV, let me just say this too. I know she doesn't like me dropping her name too much on the show. Okay. But I want to thank Rosemary Becky, the president and CEO of Jersey First TV, for taking a chance on me in January of 2022. I appreciate her seeing something in me that, let's say, others did not in New Jersey media. Okay. As well as Ashley Smith, executive director there as well. I appreciate your patience, ladies. I appreciate your support, your devotion to this program, your belief in my abilities, and more importantly, your belief in this program. To get exclusives that, let's be honest, other journalists aren't getting, to get traffic that other journalists are not getting, and to, quite frankly, be a voice for everyday New Jerseyans, not for the elites in New Jersey, not for the establishment media that will, flip their nose at you and lecture you with their usual douchebag persona, right? And their sort of level of moral superiority. No, folks, you don't get any of that on this show. What you get is sincerity, intellectual honesty, and also, most importantly, philosophical consistency. See, that's something that I bring on this show that others do not. So on behalf of the staff, the producers, myself, and everybody at Jersey First TV, I want to thank you for once again providing this amazing traffic and for continuing to make Real Talk with Fernando Uribe the force that it is in New Jersey media. And I know it's a big pill to swallow for a lot of people in New Jersey, a lot of the haters, a lot of the social justice clowns, all the woke fools, right? The pronoun patrol, the alphabet mob, the climate hysterics, right? All the haters, progressives, democratic socialists, all these clowns, folks, that encompass our political climate in New Jersey. So you know what? I'm going to be a good citizen tonight. What I'm going to, and a lot of people can, accuse me of not having a heart and not having empathy and not having compassion. To tell you what I'm going to do, folks. Okay? What I'm going to do tonight, okay, is be someone that is going to provide a public service. Okay? I'm going to encourage you all to go to your local Walgreens, your local CVS, your local Dwayne Reed. Okay? And for all the haters out there that continue to talk about this show, malign it, hate on it, bash it, again, folks, I'm too busy looking at my phone and looking at all the traffic when I'm like, oh, wow, 25,000 for the month of October. Wow, that's pretty impressive. So while I'm over here enjoying the fruits of my labor, tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to encourage you. I'm going to give you a little, listen, folks, this is a life hack, and this is my advice of the day. When you go to Walgreens, when you go to Dwayne Reed, when you go to CVS, do me a favor. When you keep looking at these great numbers that come up, right, on Real Talk with Fernando Uribe, buy yourself a nice little bottle of Neosporin for that burn, because I'm pretty sure that ointment will do wonders for you as you continue to suffer those burns by looking at my traffic every week. Again, folks, I have a heart. I have compassion. Go to your local Dwayne Reed, Walgreens, and CVS, and go get some ointment for that burn. Because guess what? Real Talk with Fernando Uribe isn't going anywhere. And to quote one of my favorite childhood heroes, and what I would argue the greatest of all time, the nature boy Ric Flair. Folks, whether you like it or you don't like it, Real Talk with Fernando Uribe via Jersey First TV is the best thing going today. Woo! I'll say it again for everybody in the back. Maybe you're a little hard of hearing, maybe, for all the haters. Woo! Folks, it's greatness every single week here on Jersey First TV. And that's our show for this week, folks. Once again, I want to thank State Senator Edward Durr in LD3 and certainly LD9 State Assembly candidate Greg Myrhe for coming on the show tonight. Great conversations, certainly this evening. And of course, folks, for all of you that enjoy all of our social media content on all of our platforms, make sure you like us on Real Talk with Fernando Uribe on Facebook. Of course, also make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the button, obviously, on YouTube for Jersey First TV. wherever you get your podcasts, on Spotify or SoundCloud. Do me a favor, folks, download it and take it with you wherever you can during, not just during this election season, but as we close out 2023. And I cannot say enough how proud I am to be a part of the dream team of journalism here in New Jersey, folks, educating and empowering residents in New Jersey every single week. That's what we do on Jersey First TV. Brand new episodes of the Nader Narrative, hosted by the incredible Elizabeth Nader, come to you every Thursday via jerseyfirst.org/TV. And of course, also brand new episodes of Bridging the Gap with AJ Malillo, as well as Stephen Rimbolo, also premiere on Thursdays. And folks, brand new episodes of Real Talk with Fernando Uribe come to you live every Monday night, 6 p.m. and also maybe 7 p.m. depends. Check your local listings. And of course, check social media for up-to-date listings every single week. Folks, again, I cannot thank you enough for supporting the program and certainly really contributing to the success that is Real Talk with Fernando Uribe every single week here on Jersey First TV. Once again, I am New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist. Top 50 Latino is voted on by the Latino Spirit Online magazine and the United States Latino Affairs Initiative. Certainly the weapon of mass disruption in Garden State media. And folks, as I like to remind you every now and then, the traffic will tell you, folks, the people's choice and the people's voice. And without a doubt, ladies and gentlemen, when you look at the nice suits, you look at this pretty face, the most handsome face that runs the place, again, being groomed, hair combed, again, looking presentable. That matters, folks, on television. Can't say it does for other journalists in the state of New Jersey. But of course, hey, I can't say enough, folks. Without you, this show would not be possible. And it's my privilege to do what I can to help educate, empower, and even entertain every single week here on Real Talk with Fernando Uribe. All I can say to you is, you're welcome, America. Once again, folks, enjoy the rest of your week. Please party responsibly and don't forget to vote tomorrow. Let's flip those seats in Central and South Jersey. Let's make the legislature as red as possible going into January. And folks, again, can't thank you enough for always supporting Real Talk via Jersey First TV. And thanks for stopping by.